Hi everyone! Today I will be showing you how to make this cozy crochet hat. It's super easy to make and you can even work on it while watching a movie. This particular hat is designed for an adult woman, but you can easily adjust it to fit any size. I will share a sizing chart later in the video to guide you. For this project I'm using a chunky yarn and a 5.5mm crochet hook. More details are available in the video description. We will also need the crochet needles, scissors and a stitch marker. I will also show you how to make a pom-pom, and for that I will be using double knit yarn. Don't forget to follow me on social media for more tutorials. Now let's get started. And we will start with chain 41. Our starting chain determines the length of our hat. Here I am presenting a chart specific to this hat using a 5.5mm crochet hook and a chunky yarn. This chart gives you an idea of how many stitches you will need for different ages. Remember, the chart shows an average size, so it's best to check the length directly on the person you are making the hat for. Okay, I have finished my foundation chain. Now, starting in the second chain from the hook, make one slip stitch into each chain. You can place a stitch marker onto the first stitch made. Once you finish chain 1 and turn your work, and we will start row number 2 by making one slip stitch into next 6 stitches, but we will work in the back loops only. So one slip stitch into first 6 stitches, working under the back loop only. And now work one half double crochet into each stitch in the back loops only, and do it until you reach the third stitch from the end. So one half double crochet into each stitch in the back loops only until you reach the third stitch from the end. Make one slip stitch into the last 3 stitches in the back loops only. When finished, chain 1 and turn your work. So no matter what size hat you are making, you start with 6 slip stitches. This creates the ribbing. Then you build the length of the hat, and finally you make the top part, which consists of 3 slip stitches. So this is the top part and the ribbing is the bottom, of course. Let's start row number 3. We will make one slip stitch into the first 3 stitches in the back loops only. Make one slip stitch into each stitch under both loops until you reach the 6th stitch from the end. So not under the back loop this time, but under the both loops, and a slip stitch. and make a slip stitch into those last 6 stitches. Make a slip stitch, but under the back loops only. That's gonna be our ribbing. And now repeat rows 2 and 3 alternately until you reach the desired width. So this is the ribbing. I will show you one more time how to make these 2 rows. So row number 4, start with 1 slip stitch into the first 6 stitches in the back loops only. Make 1 half double crochet into each stitch in the back loops only until you reach the 3rd stitch from the end. Make 1 slip stitch into the last 3 stitches in the back loops only. Chain 1 and turn your work. And we are ready to start row number 5. Make 1 slip stitch into the first 3 stitches in the back loops only. Make a slip stitch into each stitch under the both loops until you reach the ribbing. So remember, under the both loops now. And make 1 slip stitch into this last 6 stitches, but in the back loops only. Okay, so make these 2 rows until you reach the width that you need. Remember to finish on the ribbing side, not the other side. Alright, I have a width I need. I checked it on my own head and I recommend you to do the same. If you don't have the person you are making the hat for with you, check the average hat width for someone of that age online. As I said, you should finish from this side. Chain 1. We will join both sides of the hat using a crochet hook. To make the seam invisible, we will insert our crochet hook into the 3rd loop on this side. So this is the front loop, back loop. And the 3rd loop is over here, here, and here. Here and here. And under this loop on the other side. Continue until end of the row. Okay, I have finished, and from the outside is invisible, the seam is invisible. Now cut the yarn, leave about 10 inches long tail, and thread the tail onto the needle. Make a knot. Insert and pull the needle through these protruding loops, which means in every other row. Okay, so over here, then over here, then over here. The goal is to close this opening, so continue doing this all the way around. Once you have threaded the needle about 5-6 times, tighten your work. And continue. When you finish, pull the yarn, then try to close the hole. Don't tug too hard to avoid breaking the yarn. Then make a few knots through the top stitches to secure your hat. Cut the yarn and turn inside out. And now time for the pom-pom. For my pom-pom, I'm using dark decay yarn. You can use the same yarn as you used to make the hat. When you feel you have enough yarn, take it off your hand and tear it off. And then cut an additional 14 inches piece of yarn and tie it in the middle. Try to do this precisely and tie the yarn tightly, because if it comes undone, your pom-pom will fall apart. Make 2 or 3 knots. Next, hold those 2 longer pieces of yarn and cut the yarn loops. So try to cut all of them. And now start trimming to shape it into the circle. And using these two longer tails, sew the pom-pom onto your hat. Make 2 or 3 knots from inside. Secure and cut your yarn. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.